I was recently asked, do I have powdery mildew on my Japanese maple trees? And I actually don't. Currently, my Japanese maple trees are clear of any powdery mildew. You'll see some white here and there, but those are just spider webs. When it comes to powdery mildew on Japanese maple trees, you do want to make sure that your tree has adequate amount of airflow and it's not too congested around it in order for it to kind of stay dry. Powdery mildew tends to occur in humid conditions, so if it's really humid in your area, that could be the cause of the powdery mildew. Or if your tree is stressed out, and I mean like really stressed out, your tree might exhibit some powdery mildew on it, but I don't think it's too common. At least I've never really seen it occur on any of my Japanese maple trees, and yes, I have a ton of them. But again, adequate airflow, not too congested areas. Another cause of powdery mildew could be that you're splashing dirt from the base of the ground all the way up into the leaves, which is just not a good thing at all. That causes many diseases. Also seen cases where your Japanese maple tree leaves are just staying too wet, meaning you're probably wetting your leaves every time you water. Also not a good idea. That does bring disease because the leaves just aren't meant to be wet all the time. And if one of your Japanese maple trees already have powdery mildew, it's not the best idea to spray down the leaves, because what happens is you end up splashing that powdery mildew onto other plants, and that's how you can spread it throughout your garden. At the end of the day, powdery mildew is a fungus that pretty much spreads over the top of the leaves, coating it in white, and eventually that leaf will die off. Not the greatest thing, and it does look pretty disgusting just to look at overall. Even though I don't have it on the Japanese maple trees here in the garden, I'm going to show you how to treat it. This is copper fungicide. Now, it does take care of downy mildew, powdery mildew, black spot, as well as early blight. I love this stuff. It works on my pumpkins. In fact, we didn't place pumpkins intentionally. We got some volunteers, and they do have some powdery mildew. So we're gonna take care of that with this pump sprayer that I use solely for copper fungicide. By the way, guys, this is food product safe. It is for organic gardening, all right, or growing. Before we start, I want to show you what the powdery mildew looks like on top of this pumpkin leaf here. It's this little white speckling or white powdery substance stuff all over. You can see it on the leaves, at least occurring in this area, and the way it spreads is via spores and whatnot, as well as if you splashed it, like by watering the plant and you accidentally splashed it on top of another leaf, it's going to spread even quicker. Now, the way to really prevent this, at least with pumpkins, because you can see how low they are to the ground, is to either use drip irrigation or slowly allow the water to feed into the soil without splashing it up. That's like the common issue for pumpkin vines. And because pumpkins are so susceptible to powdery mildew, it's probably the best idea to remove some of the decaying matter around the plant. Like you can see these leaves dying back, all they'll do is bring disease, so you might as well remove them. They're no longer doing us any justice, so I took this one off. As you can see, it's not really supporting the plant. We'll probably be removing this one here, the one here as well, maybe this yellowing one, just a few of these bad looking ones. As you are doing this with the copper fungicide, be sure to follow the instructions on the back. There are different applications for different plants, and it's listed within the little booklet back here. But for me, for these pumpkin vines or pumpkin and squash vines, all I do is I add about a tablespoon. It's also mixed with a little bit of water since it had some in here already. But a tablespoon for 2 gallons of water, and I call it good. And then I'll repeat this treatment for every 7 days until I start seeing some improvements and everything goes away, or until pumpkin season is over with. Be sure to mix well, and this can be done on grass, trees, and shrubs. You also want to avoid spraying on a windy day. That's not the best idea. You want it spraying back in your face or on other people and animals. While spraying, you should have a period of dry weather, so it shouldn't be raining, and you want to get underneath the leaves as well, just because the disease could be anywhere. So over top, underneath, wherever you can get it. Even though I'm applying this to the pumpkins in full sun in the middle of the day, you don't want to do this on your trees in the middle of the day, because what it'll do is it might end up frying your leaves. You want to do this late in the afternoon or while your tree is in shade for the rest of the day. Again, don't do this in full sun. Do it when the tree is in shade. If you're worried that your tree will eventually get powdery mildew, you can do this as a preventative as well. So if there's another tree with powdery mildew right next to it, go ahead and spray that tree as well, just to give it some extra measure. By the way, for a volunteer vine, this is doing so well. Like, look at that. We got a pumpkin here. We've got some pumpkins growing in amongst some of these leaves here. Well, that one just started. We got another, and then another back there. Unfortunately, I don't have examples of powdery mildew on my Japanese maple trees, but hopefully this kind of helped you guys out, because if you do have that going on, you can treat it kind of like how I treated my pumpkin vines. But I will say, again, read those instructions. There is something about not applying more than once in fall, so keep that in mind. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.